Is Marcus and Terry with you today. Hopefully everyone is doing okay. We're going to do a sobriety Q&A. So if you guys can hear me okay, if you can hear Terry, let us know.
Good morning, everybody.
All
Hi,
right.
Chris. Good to see you. I saw you waiting for quite a while. Jason, Lynn. Good morning.
Cool. All right. So today is the Q&A for the sobriety. So if you have any questions about sobriety, now is the time. We're going to ask it. It went really good the last couple times we did the Q&A, so I think we will keep that going. So that'll be good. All right, so we got Jason, Lynn. Any topics to share to start out with, Terry? Anything popping out at you? Any good questions you
Uh,
get from sobering people?
yeah, I think so. Let's see. Sobriety for me is really a way of life, and it's being sober, and the principles I practice in sobriety really go over to everyday life, and that's what makes life a heck of a lot easier. And I'll just give you an instance. I work a part-time job at a hotel, and I'm a chef there, and it was actually day before yesterday, and one of the salespeople came up to me, and they were giving me this pop-up event that was happening in like an hour. And in the past when I was drinking, I would have been so mad. I would have screamed at her and gone all irate, and it wouldn't have made a difference. Still would have had to do it. And I would have just had a terrible few hours there and probably been angry for a couple of days after that and rant and raved. But being sober, it's given me some tools. Like for instance, I paused and I just said, okay, so what do we need to do? And I worked with her and we got it done. And yeah, it was a little frustrating, but really, did it change my life? No. Did it make any big difference? No. All I can do is just address what the situation is and find out why that happened. And then we move on, and then life's good. And that's just one of the examples of how being sober is just helps. It helps life all in general.
It does, and it really helps us take things in stride to where it's like, you don't have to worry about stuff anymore. You just, whatever. I remember I used to get so bent out of shape with business stuff, and now I just kind of look at it as you win some, you lose some,
Yeah.
move on, and if you got to go cook for a pop up restaurant, which I can imagine that would be real fun because you got the snooty people that are waiting for the pop up restaurant, and then you're like, what the hell am I going to cook? You got a couple of beans. I mean, we get some chicken. I mean,
That's exactly right.
and you just do the best you can. You just hey, here we go. This is what we're gonna make, and 9 times out of 10, people are gonna enjoy whatever you give them. It'd be like, hey, wow, this must be real organic berries from the San Francisco Bay Area, which is cool. You just got to look at that and kind of focus. We got Crystal says she's on 57 days. Awesome, Crystal. Good to hear. Lynn's on 21 days. That's awesome as well. Jason says, I'm seeing that it has to be my number one sobriety, and finally started posting recovery stuff on Facebook, so people are supportive. That's great. And they are supportive, and it's got to be a priority, especially in the beginning. I mean, as you go along, me and Terry have been doing this a while. It's not like as crucial to have it all day, every day, but it still has to be part of our daily routine. And I find what happens is it becomes natural, right? To where before we had to concentrate on it. Now it's like, hey, it's natural. Now before I'd have to be like, okay, don't get mad at the lady doing the pop up thing, or don't get mad at the guy, in business. Now it's more like, I just don't get mad, right? So it becomes your default and your automatic, which is really cool. Lynn says her mood has improved significantly since she's been sober. I found that is a great side effect to not drinking.
Absolutely.
Deb, good to see you here. Deb says, I fell off the wagon after 8 years, feel like crap, but small, back on track. Yeah, just get back on track. I mean, that's the best you can do. I learned in sobriety the best you could do is ask for someone's cooperation. That's all you can do. Either get it or you don't. Best you can do in sobriety, hey, just get back up. Keep getting back up as many times as it takes. Sometimes it takes a lot. Sometimes it takes one. We don't know what it's going to take, but you're always going to remain drunk if you don't get sober. Right? That's a fact. That's a guarantee. If you don't get sober, you're probably going to end up drunk over and over. You want to take a couple others of these here, Terry?
Sure. Matthew just said good morning, guys. I just passed a year sober a few days ago. I think there's someone else on here that just hit a year last week or so. Yeah, I think so. I
Mm-hmm.
forgot who it was. I've noticed we always have around the same number, and that's great, Matthew. 1 year, it's a big milestone. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, my 1 year was, man, it seemed like it took forever that first year,
It
but
did.
then looking back on it, it really didn't take that long at all. And just trying to work the principles of sobriety
Mm-hmm.
is what got me through, and that's what continues to get me through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Matthew also said, "But enough about me. Let's all be sober together." No, you
Mm-hmm.
posting your 1 year sober. That's great, and other people seeing that may have less time.
Mm-hmm.
They can see that it can be done. It's great.
For
Uh,
sure.
let's see. Thomas here said, "Can you explain what usually happens first, mental or physical dependence in your experience? Is trying to figure it out a bad thing, or is it just wasting energy trying to?" For me, I've done lots of thought about what caused me. I don't know whether it was, I think mental and physical dependency is what happened. It was very, very slow for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Trying to figure out what happened, why it happened, I don't have an answer. And there's many people that I talk to that just don't have an answer, as other than the fact that I liked to drink, and so I drank more and more, and it hooked me, and I liked it all the way till the end. I didn't
I
like the effects and the consequences it was causing, but I liked the feeling of alcohol till the very last day. And why, I don't know.
I think one of the things to look at too is here in Western culture, we have a lot of weird things that are like I don't know why, but when people moved to America, they were like, "Hey, let's forget about everything we learned from thousands of years and just start on our own. Yay, go Yankees!" But at any rate, what happened was they separated the body and the mind. And in Eastern cultures, it's like, hey, we're all one. Like the mind and the body is one. Like there's books that talk about the gut or the stomach being like part of your mind, where it's like, hey, if your stomach's not functioning right, your mind's not going to function right. If you're, in pain, like the other night, I had really, really, really bad back pain like I've never had before. I mean, I woke up at 4 a.m. I'm rolling around on the ground. I'm almost throwing up from the pain. It was so bad. And, I realized that at that moment that nothing mattered, right? It was like, hey, I need to deal with this. It wasn't like, hey, let's go write a thesis on what I think about the political ramifications. No, I wasn't sitting there thinking of things. I was like, my back hurts. That's all consuming me. And it goes to show that the physical and mental are together. They're one unit. And oftentimes when we try to say, oh, well, is it a physical or is it mental? Well, it's both,
Yeah.
right? It's both. It starts as both. We are dependent because of our mental, and we're dependent because our mental is enmeshed with our physical. And trying to figure it out is kind of like saying, which toe do I like better? Well, it doesn't really matter. I kind of like them all. I'd like to keep all five of them. And it kind of goes in with our mindset of, hey, look, our mindset and our body is one. And when we get those in harmony, that's what works. And I have to laugh because I see Terry laughing at me.
Well, you have 10 toes, don't you? Or do you only have five? I'm sorry.
I used to have 12 fingers, which is
Okay.
kind of annoying. Like if I hit my hand on something, it is crazy hurts. But yeah, the back thing was like I was down and out. I was like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah,
I wasn't sitting there thinking about certain things, and
absolutely.
we gotta be careful of that too, because it's really easy to go downhill. Like if I thought alcohol was a solution for that, let's say I had the back pain 6 months into sobriety, I might have been like, well, drinking helped before, maybe it'll help again. But because I've put those things, those buffers up, those protections, those go tos, where I'm like, nope, alcohol is not an option. I was able to make that through.
Let me get this one. It's a real quick comment that Debbie has.
Sure.
Was worse. It was. I think you're saying your detox was the worst detox ever.
Hmm.
So you've detoxed a couple few times, whatever it's been, and this was the worst. And my experience was the same thing. Detox just got worse and worse, and a friend of mine, he's detox, and he's still trying to fight the detox, and he's gone out and come back quite a few times, and yeah, it gets worse and worse, and that's the danger of alcoholism is we always think we can come back, and sometimes you can't, and it just gets worse and worse. That's the progression of this disease, and that's something that you always got to pay attention to, and that's why for me, I try to do everything I can to stay sober.
Yeah,
I don't want to have to.
absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was agreeing with you.
Yeah.
We got Jason says I have 12 days after a day after 7 months. Okay, but I'm doing great, 90 and 90. I think what you're saying is you have 12 days after 7 months of not going, and that's good. I mean, if you look at that, it's like, okay, well, you got what 7 times 30 is 210, 220 something days, and only one. So you only drank 1 out of 220 days. That's pretty good. Hey, I'll take it. The key is getting back up. The key is making that day shorter and shorter to where it doesn't happen anymore. To where you're like, hey, alcohol's not my go-to anymore, which is good. Megan says, good morning, Marcus and Terry. 31 days to me. Awesome. That's great. I can appreciate that because we've been watching your struggle. We've been watching you break through, and that's great. And she said last year she couldn't even go one day without drinking. And boy, do I remember the days I couldn't go one day without drinking. And I'm glad they're not here anymore. And 31 will turn into 32 in a year. And, just keep on it. Keep going. Keep focusing on what worked, because you have 31 days under your belt of what worked. Like whatever you did, like if you find yourself, having a hard time, be like, well, hey, over the last 31 days, this worked. I got a track record of 31 days that this worked, which is good. I like that. So cool. All right, let's see. You want to take Crystal?
Sure, you're having a bad day, lots of anxiety, and thought about a drink, but I thought about what you guys said about the thoughts going by, and I was picking up the bad ones. I remembered what you said started, and I picked up the good ones. Thanks for your support. That's it.
Awesome.
We get these pathways in our brain, and they're the ones that alcoholism have caused tend to take us down the dark road. And for me, I try to think about what I'm grateful for. Try to think about those positive thoughts, and just understand that thoughts are just thoughts. We don't have to act on them, and it's okay to have those thoughts. We just try not to pick up a drink and move on. Good job.
Awesome. Cool. Debbie says she ended up in the hospital, fits and everything, the DTs, the lot. Thanks, guys. Guys, this is so cliche. Please help with cravings. They consume me sometimes. Debbie, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to describe what a craving is like for you. I think that'll help, because I'd like to see the process, because everything we do has a process. There's a process that starts it, and we can intersect it, right? Like I could sit here, Terry can sit here, and we can have something happen in our day. I got back pain, he has a bad day, whatever it is. I could think, hey, maybe some Jack would be good right now, or whatever you like. And I can think that. Now, that's the starting point. Now, I can delve into that thought, and there's a process I take where it's like, well, yeah, that might be good. Well, yeah, I remember what it tasted like. Oh, yeah, I remember the glass I liked it in and how much ice I liked. Actually, I didn't like ice, but at any rate, if you like ice. And I remember this, and I remember that, and I remember the smell, and I remember holding it. I remember everything, right? And then I go down that path, but I can intersect it up here and say, no, enough's enough. I don't care about it, right? It's just like OCD with anything. For me, I have my office built in the backyard, and when you have an OCD brain, you always worry that you shut things off. I grew up in a family where, like, when we went on vacation, there was not a plug in a socket when we left, even if we were gone for the afternoon. You unplugged everything. You unplugged the power thing. You unplugged everything from the power strip. That's how it was. And that trained my brain to, like, freak out about things. And so I'll be inside, and I'll be like, I'll bet that heater's plugged in. I know it's off, but it's probably plugged in, and somehow the ghost is going to go turn it on, right? And my brain will just start ruminating about this, and it'll go into the process of, did I check this? Did I check that? Did I check that? And I'm guessing that the alcohol craving process is the same. So let's skip down and see what she said. She said it starts with me thinking about some vodka. I think that's what that means. So you start thinking about vodka, right? And I want you to think, and I want you to get in your brain, if you're not driving, close your eyes, and get into your brain, and I want you to think about that. I want you to get that craving up there, right? Start to think about it, and then associate it with ending up in the hospital with fits and all the stuff that's bad, right? Because if we could start to associate these, like when I think about drinking, I think, yeah, Marcus, pour another glass of insanity. Just
Right.
pour it, and just call the mental hospital because they're waiting for you again. So pour a glass of insanity, and I think about what it was like to wake up every day feeling like shit and having to drink to get over it. I remember what it was like being skinny and weak and not able to do anything, not able to think straight, living in a fog, and I remember that. And then I associate it with it, and I'm like, you know, maybe a Fat Tire beer wouldn't be so bad. That was one of my favorites. And maybe it wouldn't be so bad. You know, hell, I've been sober 5 years, but then that association comes up and I say, really? You're going to drink something that basically tastes like green beans. If anyone's ever had Fat Tire, it tastes like green beans. I mean, come on now. Get a can of green beans. It's pretty much the same thing, right? And you're gonna sacrifice that for this. And this goes to show the mental and physical combined dependency, right? Because we have that mental and physical obsession of getting this thing, but we forget all the bad shit that it causes in our life, right? It's like that boyfriend or girlfriend you had that treats you like shit all the time, but you keep going back, right? And you're like, oh, maybe they'll be different this time. Maybe my drink will be different this time. Maybe it's going to be different. It's not going to be different. It's the same vodka. It's the same stuff. It's the same wreaking havoc on your life. Yeah, but Marcus, other people, they have vodka. It's on the TV, and they're happy. Yeah, but we're not. We're not happy with it. And I can live with that now. And that's kind of what helps me. So I'll end my rambling, and we'll take the next one. But I hope that helped, because for me, association's important.
Yep. Same thing for me. I think it through. Think about what's going to happen. It's not whether it is or is not going to happen. It's going to happen if I take a drink. So
that's what alcohol does to me.
Yeah.
That's what it does. Now to the guy down the road, he can have a half of a beer and dump it out. To a guy like me, I can't have a half. I don't have a half of anything. Like, I get Diet Coke, I drink the whole freaking box. I get Pepsi, I drink the whole box. That's what I do. So we got to look at that. All right, I think I skipped. Do you want to take PWK and then we'll go from there? Because I skipped down to Debbie.
Guys, you seem to be sober for a while, and well done. Thank you very much. Can you please talk about relapses? How does one deal with them? Start from where you are and move forward. Do everything. What I did is I did everything I could when I got sober. I did the 12-step meetings. I did the hospital meetings. I hung around sober people. I stopped getting into dangerous situations. And I did everything I possibly could when I first got sober. And then I figured out what I could do. Like, I didn't go into restaurants. I really didn't go out. I didn't go to parties or anything for those first few months. And that's what I did. And I just worked on me, making myself physically healthier. I was pretty happy right when I got sober because I was glad I was through the detox. And that was a huge hurdle for me. But I was physically and mentally a mess, and I just worked on it slowly because when I got sober, I didn't have much there. I was just kind of a shell, and I had to pick up from a very low point, and that's what I did. And as far as relapses go, yeah, just keep on trying to get sober.
And
go ahead.
I would also say that everyone who has a relapse knows what to do with a relapse because you got sober before. It's the same thing. The relapse is just a matter of when are you going to say enough is enough, right? If someone relapses and they're like, okay, I relapsed, I was 5 months sober and I relapsed, right? You know what to do. Do what you did 5 months ago. Do what you did the last 5 months. Do that. All right. Now, if you get in the cycle, you have to really look at it and say the relapse has interjected itself into my sober cycle. Right? So I got my sober cycle. It's going around. We're going good. And the relapse came in. And it's like, okay, how long am I going to let this happen? Because it's going to affect your mind. Alcohol affects our mind. That's what it does. A drink wants to take another drink. When you relapse, you're going to have the thoughts of, well, fuck it. I might as well drink more. Screw it. I already had one, right? It's just the mind thing. But we can stop it and we can say, yeah, I already had one. Next, let's go back, right? It doesn't mean anything as us, about us as a person. It just means that you need more tools. You need to rely on what has been working and grow from there, and then realize this is affecting my mind. Something is affecting my mind. And they say oftentimes that relapse happens long before the first drink, right? Like, let's say Terry got really stewed out about the restaurant thing he had to deal with, right? And he's like, well, screw it. That lady, I shouldn't even be working for her. I'm a better cook than her anyway. I owned a restaurant. I got this. My pans are more gold than hers, and he could stew about it. And then the next time he sees her, he could keep ruminating about it and keep ruminating. And then the next guy comes up, well, you shouldn't be complaining about your food. That's the way we cook it, whatever. And he can keep ruminating. And pretty soon he's going to be in that place mentally that he was in before he started drinking or before he got sober.
Right.
And we got to watch out for it because a lot of the times it is in our mind. And I look at it as relapse should be a big deal before it happens, but a little deal after it happens. Before the relapse, if you're like, oh man, maybe I should go, have it be a big deal so that you don't relapse. But if for some reason you do, get back up, end it, be done, say, hey, you know what, we'll get back up. But some people, they stew about, oh man, I threw away 20 years of my sobriety. You didn't throw away anything. Nope. You got 20 years of sobriety. You got 3 days of drinking or a year or whatever, however long you decide to let it go on. And then you get back up on the horse.
Exactly.
I think that's a good way. And I hope that helps.
No, that's good. I stopped drinking a couple of times before I finally got sober this last time. Mm-hmm. And I totally I went to rehab and I got out, started drinking, and then I got sober again. And that rehab was absolutely crucial for my long-term sobriety. I didn't throw it away by starting drinking again. I took a big step back when I started drinking, but that's it. It was huge. And the time I quit before, I had taken some steps. For me, it was kind of a journey, but it's it all culminated into the sobriety I have now. I just have to, and I still use the tools that I learned in rehab daily to stay sober. So it's okay. Mm-hmm. Kane says, have not drank in 10 weeks, but already have decided I will have a session. I guess that's a session of drinking when I go camping in April with the guys. Stop daily drinking, then the weekend drinking, not so bad overall. Okay. But what I actually wonder, it's kind of a question for you, is why are you here? Are you concerned about your drinking? That's really it. For me, maybe you're not an alcoholic, or you just needed to cut back and you're able to. That's great. That's awesome. I can't have anything to drink at all.
Yeah, and I know if I went on a weekend session with friends, it wouldn't be enough.
Right.
Like I'd feel like shit after the session because that's what alcohol does to you, and then I would remember, best way to get over a hangover is keep drinking. You're never gonna have a hangover if you keep drinking, right? That's like the alcoholic theme song. It's absolute bullshit because you are having the hangovers and they are happening to your body. You just don't feel them because you can't feel anything. So that would be me. But again, Kane, I would ask myself, like, is it worth it and is it helping? Like, is alcohol making negative consequences in your life? If it is, maybe reevaluate it. But again, we're not here to tell you yes or no. I mean, we're all adults. I think one of the things that's funny is when people get sober, they kind of like look to someone else for validation. Like, hey, can I drink? It's like, of course. Everyone in the alcohol meeting can go drink. We all can. Terry can go drink. I could go drink. I'm not going to. Why am I not going to? Because of what I've taught myself. Because I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen in my brain and my body. All right. Daisy says, my body says, please quit. My mind says, not yet. The struggle is real. I wish I would have listened to my stepmom in my 20s when she said, beware of the gray line that you can cross. Well, the key is to look at it as not a gray line because there's a lot of people here. We're going to have a special guest on probably in the next couple of weeks who dealt with cirrhosis of the liver. And the doctor was like, I don't care what your freaking mind says. Your body says it's going to die. Terry, he had an issue medically when he got sober. And I think that's really what got him over the hump. Like, hey, you know what? Next time I'm in the hospital, I might not come out. And it's all from alcohol. It's all from drinking. And we got to look at that and say, hey, look, am I willing to do that? Am I willing to sacrifice years of my life for alcohol? Am I willing to sacrifice other people's lives? Because my mind might say, hey, I'm fine. And our mind, drunk, our mind under the influence, is not really our mind. It's the same mind that stumbles into the car and says, you're fine. You're good. There's 2 stop signs there. Everyone else sees 1, but you see 2. You're good. That's the same mind that gets people killed. That's the same mind that gets us killed. That's the same mind that we can't trust because it's affected by alcohol. And what we got to do is separate and say, you know what? Maybe I think, hey, I'm not really ready. Maybe we think, well, hey, maybe you are. Maybe you just don't see it. Maybe your brain will never be ready because later down the road, like I never woke up one day and said, I'm 21. I'm legal to drink alcohol. I think in 10 years, I'm going to drink a freaking keg a week. Never once did I sit down and say that. But then I had the keg and I was like, well, hey, you know what? It's all right. I used to have a 6-pack every day. I mean, now I'm getting 15.4 gallons of beer a week and hard stuff. And I think nothing of it.
Right.
That's alcohol saying, you're good. You're good, bro. Keep having more. Terry never woke up one day and said, I like making steak and having a drink. I think I'll have a steak and a half a gallon of vodka. Right. That sounds really good. I think today I want to be flammable, right? And you shouldn't smoke if you drink because you're basically flammable at that point. But you got to look at it. And sometimes you got to call bullshit on your mind because sometimes my mind has thought stuff. Like for years, I thought a certain ideology. And then later I was like, wow, I didn't think that through too good. Same thing with alcohol. I didn't think it through too good. I didn't look at what it was doing. I didn't look at, the kids getting an effect of having an alcoholic parent. I didn't look at, all the things that were going on in my life. I didn't look at the fact that I sucked at business because I was drunk all the time, right? I didn't look at these things. So look at the things there, and your mind's pretty rational when it's not drinking, and list it out. Say, these are all the things that are bad. Maybe my liver's going. Maybe my mind is going. Maybe I don't feel good. Maybe I'm missing days of work. And then say, is it really worth it? And then look at the life that me and Terry talk about where it's like, hey, man, I would never consciously want to go back to that. Ever. Ever. Not in a million years. Not for the taste of my favorite drink. Not for being able to have it, like the freedom of it. Being able to drink whenever I want. I would never want it because it's not worth it. Hopefully that helps. All right, let's take, you want to take Lynn?
Sure, I consider myself lucky that I didn't experience any major withdrawal symptoms since there were some days I drank up to a 5-liter box of wine. Right on. I'm surprised that you didn't have any major withdrawal symptoms, but that's just everybody's body's different.
I would always go to the doctor just in case.
Yes.
Because what we tell you, we're not doctors. We don't know much about anything. I think I know a few things about the internet. Terry can cook you a good meal, but other than that, I don't know.
Right. I didn't have withdrawal symptoms the last time I quit, and that's because I was unconscious and almost died. But so there's one way to do it, but that's not a very fun way to do it. But a lot of people have detox symptoms. But as Marcus said, doctor, Need to
Mhm.
see a doctor if you're going to quit drinking, if you've been drinking a lot. Kane said, I find if I tell myself I'll never drink again, that freaks me out. For me, I say I won't drink for 3 weeks. I just don't see myself completely quitting. Then don't worry about quitting forever. Just quit today. And
Tomorrow.
tomorrow you can drink all
Yeah.
you want. And
Yep.
tomorrow will be today. And you can just say the same thing again. And you hear it all the time, the cliche of one day at a time. But honestly, just look at it that way. It's okay. You don't have to quit forever.
And I found out as I was sober that became not as important as I thought it was.
Yep.
Like when I was getting sober, I was like, really? What if my kids have like a thing, and what if there's a graduation with the bubbly and whatever? And now I'm like, well, I really don't care anymore. Like I used to, but now I don't. So focus on 90 days or a year or whatever you're comfortable with right now. Then after
Yep.
90 days, be like, hey, the last 90 days were pretty good. I liked them. I think I'll have 90 more of those. Um, and I think that'll help. All right, Katie says, I realized yesterday anger is a huge trigger for me. I wanted to drink after someone upset me, but I didn't. Awesome. I was able to calm down slow after talking to my friend and played the tape. Great. And that's good because, like, you taught yourself. And the more you teach yourself, you'll just learn. Like, now I just laugh at it. I'm like, I got angry. That's pretty stupid. Like, I was worried about some dude who cut me off in the car, and it's like, whatever. Who knows? I mean, maybe that dude was like getting his wife to the hospital. She was having a baby. Who knows? I mean, that's what I do. I assume everyone driving has a baby, even if it's just a dude in the car. I'm like, the dude's probably pregnant. I don't know how it works, but yeah, he's going to the hospital. And just take it in stride because life can be slowed down, and that can be a good thing. And I love that it can be slowed down, and it's like I don't have to do everything today. I don't have to deal with everyone today. I'm
Right.
just gonna take it easy and roll with it. Roll with it. And if someone's angry and wants to piss me off, that's their bag. Hey, dude, that is your trip. You have it. And they
Exactly.
can come up and they could say, Marcus, you 5 foot SOBPOS, whatever. I could be like, that's cool. If you want to think that about me, that's fine. Because I'm not hung up on my identity anymore. I'm not hung up on what others think or what I think of myself. Now, sure, sometimes it still creeps in. Like, that's human nature. It's the protective thing. But it's not serious anymore. Like, I don't take it serious anymore. When I first started this channel, sometimes it was difficult because people would come on here and they'd type till their heart's content about what they think about me. And sometimes I'd have a hard time. Now I'm like, hey, man, you could think whatever you want. That's cool. This is what I'm doing, and this is what helps me get sober. And just really separate it. And Katie, I think that's awesome. I think that's a huge, huge step in your sobriety.
It is.
So cool.
Absolutely. Being able to let go. MN
Yep.
Mama, 78 days. Right on. Good
Awesome.
job. Thomas, do you have any links for treatment centers for someone with no insurance or advise a process of where to start getting help? Well, we got these webinars every week. We have talksober.com. There's other online help you can get. Also, there's the AA is free. So there's
Also,
yeah, go ahead.
I would mention the state has a lot of things. And if you're worried about stuff, the one cool thing about the way that hospital billing works, even though it's way overpriced, as you could tell my views from my shirt, but if you go in and you get help, they will literally just be like, okay, I can only pay $1 a week for the rest of my life. And they'll take it. And that's cool. In 20 years, when $1 is not worth as much, you'll still be paying $1. But most of the time, they're okay with it. So focus on getting the help you can get. Remember that you're in charge of it. Like there's no person that's in charge of your sobriety more than you. And maybe go to a hospital or something and say, hey, what can I do? Maybe go to a local outreach center, or there might be people at AA who have been through that too. And get the help you need. Because if you need help with detox, go to the doctor. Say, hey, look, I don't have insurance. I don't have this stuff. And they will probably, they're not going to just let you go on the street or whatever if they think there's an issue. They'll probably direct you to the right place. And if they don't, come back and do what you can do. But be vigilant about getting it. I found that when I was going to treatment centers, it was a little difficult to find out where to go, what to do, what insurance would take. Ended up having to pay cash, which luckily at the time I had. But if you don't, you can figure out other ways, and you can find other people. I mean, there's people. Surprisingly, the alcohol community is actually pretty helpful. You're gonna get some bad apples. There's gonna be some like total dickheads in the group, but hey, that comes everywhere. You go to church, there's dickheads there. You go to they're everywhere, right? So stay away from that and find the people that you can really resonate with. So yeah.
Right on. Lynn says my cravings used to feel a bit like being hungry. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Me too. And instead of eating, I'd drink. And then
And I
I wasn't hungry anymore.
I would second that with saying my cravings still feel like it. I just now recognize it as hunger.
Right.
Because I still have them. I'm still like, oh man, my stomach's growling and I don't want to eat anything. And back then, I can identify, hey, it was the exact same thing. I was probably just hungry and, needed 3,000 calories, and I chose to have 3,000 calories of beer instead of nutritional good things. So, yeah, I think a lot of it is there.
Debbie, you said I'm totally powerless. I hate the detox. I'm scared. I was right there. Totally. 100%. What you just said, that was me. And I ended up going to the doctor. Well, I ended up in the hospital, but they were able to mitigate the pain a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, well, it wasn't pleasant, but I was totally able to get through it with doctor's help. And that was the key for me. When I tried it on my own, I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the
Same
help,
with me.
and I was scared, but I got through it with help and got out the other side. And the other side it was incredible from day one for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely. And I was scared too. I was scared really bad. And I think it's healthy to keep that in your brain. Remember how scared you are. Remember the moment that you decided to quit. Remember the moment that turned it around. And for me, it's like I remember crying on the curb, not wanting to go. And I don't want to do that again. Like, I don't want to detox. I'm scared to death of detoxing again. Like, I don't want to do that. That's not fun. And mine was relatively easy, but I saw things, I heard things, I felt like shit, and I wasn't in my right mind. And I shook like a leaf, and I don't like that. I like being nice and steady, so that helps. All right, Kent says, it's the first drink that gets us. Yes, it is. Our brain is wired different. If you can drink just socially, then it might not be for you. One session leads back to the bandwagon of insanity. Yeah, I know for me, one drink, boom, I'm back. I know I'll be back.
yep.
Richard said, relapse is not the end of the world. No, it's not.
Right.
Not at all.
Good to see you, Richard.
Yep.
Debbie, my heart stopped twice. I'm so scared, guys. I'm a failure. You're not a failure. Alcohol has you. You're addicted. That's it. It's no big deal. Well, it's a big deal health-wise, but you can get through it.
Yeah, and, go to the doctor, tell them what's up. There's no better place to be scared than around a bunch of people who went to school to help you. Like, they got degrees. They know what's going on. They know how to deal with it. They know the little bags to hook up. I don't even know what's in that crap, but it helps us. Somehow, some way, it helps us. So the doctor's good. And then I would never look at it as a failure. I always look at it as you're under the influence.
Right.
Like, that's why you don't drive cars under the influence. Now, for an alcoholic, you're always under the freaking influence. Like, that's just the way to look at it. It's like you're always there. You're never in a right mind. And you got to focus on that and say, hey, you know what? Enough's enough. And I wouldn't look at it as personal fail or success. I would look at it as this is what is. Like, I don't look at myself as, yes, I'm a success. I've been sober 5 years. I look at it as like, damn, I'm glad that I'm not under the influence right now. Like, I could look at it and, go get chips and smile and take pictures, and I don't, because I'm like, you know what? All I got's today. I don't got 5 years. I'm glad I didn't drink the last 5 years, but really all I have is today. Who's not to say that maybe I'll go and something will trigger it. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what would happen, and we have to look at our life like I don't know what would happen under certain circumstances. I could sit here and I could say, I've been sober 5 years, guys. You know what? Even if someone forced me to drink wine, I wouldn't go back. I don't know. Someone forced me. I have no idea. That's why I don't do it. And I would be scared of alcohol. I'd be scared of it and say, you know what? That's it. Alcohol, you're the failure. You get out of here. This is what I'm doing. So often we look at life as success and failure, and it's a journey. It's a journey. And maybe you have a journey where you're at a low point. Maybe you have a journey where you're at a high point. Roll with it. Be where you're at. Embrace the moment and live there and say, you know what, right now, I'm going to look at all that stuff that made me drink, and I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to do it because I know it makes it worse. There was no argument. There was no life situation. There was no financial. There was nothing that alcohol made better for me. Nothing. I fought with the spouse. Yeah, it might have been real witty and good, but it ended up being a shit show, right? And we got to look at that. Hopefully that helps. I'm in a rambly mood today. All right, you want to take Kane?
Sure. What happens in AA, and do they just repeat the same thing each session there, i.e. rehash? Do you have to speak to all there each meeting, or just the first initial visit? What happens after? Let's see. Many things happen in an AA meeting, but AA it's a 12-step program. They work out of their big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. That's where the program is. It's a 12-step program. It's designed to first get you to stop drinking, and then it's also supposed to help you live a sober life, which seems good to me. Do they repeat things over and over again? Of course they do. But they also talk that it usually there's different types of meetings. There's topic meetings where they may talk about anxiety or something like that. There's also speaker meetings where you may hear somebody's story about how they what happened in their life and what happened to take them to their lowest point in their life and what they did to get sober and how they are in sobriety right now. Do you have to speak? You never have to speak in a meeting. Their one rule is the only rule for membership is you want to stop drinking. That's it. And that's pretty much all over the world. That's the way the meetings are. They're a little different here and there, but that's kind of how it works. And like I said, you don't have to speak at all. I know many people that I don't even know their name. I just know their face when I go to those meetings. And they never say anything, and they seem to have a pretty successful sobriety. What I would suggest is if you're going to go to a AA meeting, go with a completely open mind. But that's with any form, any way, or a sobriety program. I've tried to approach sobriety programs with a completely open mind, trying not to judge and think of the reasons why it's not going to work, but try and look at what might work and what I can relate to, what I can identify with. And that's what has seemed to help me the most. When I start to look at the bad things of a way of doing, some way of getting sober, then I just start spinning down that spiral of negative thoughts, and then it's not going to work because I start looking at the negative of it. So hopefully that helps. Go. It's free. It's okay. You don't have to keep going. You can check it out. If I was going to go, I'd give it several at least tries and check it out, and then see how you feel.
Yep. Crystal, we're working on getting an email on the site. When we do, just click that and email them.
Let's see. I just accidentally scrolled way too far.
Okay, we got Peter. He's blue. Peter G. Cliche. Relapses are like the Rocky movie. You get knocked down until finally enough is enough. Get the heck out of the ring. Exactly. You get beat up. You got that big alcohol's like that big 7-foot Russian dude in Rocky that's beating the hell out of you. And I don't like getting the hell beat out of me. So I get out of the ring. So yeah, well said. Kent says, you're only a failure if you stop trying to stay sober. You can't give up. Relapse isn't a failure. Don't give up. Good words. Christian says, a weekend session ended up in a DUI for me. Yeah, totally not worth it.
Right.
Kane says, what age is the guest that had cirrhosis? I'm going to guess he was in his 40s, early 40s, I believe, but he'll be here to share with us when we schedule that. Veronica says, good morning. I'm at 39 days and feeling great. Awesome. Yvonne says, ended up in the hospital because of drinking. Very grateful. I'm still here to think about. Me too. I'm glad you're here, Yvonne. Veronica, having a hard time choosing a sponsor. Yeah, I did too. I never did really get one, so that might be a better question for Terry.
I would say find somebody that you can relate to and ask them to be a temporary sponsor. You don't have, and you can, if a good sponsor is gonna, they're gonna be okay if you say, I think I want to switch sponsors. They should be okay with that. It's okay.
And if not, then you should really switch sponsors.
Right. And just try to find somebody that you can relate to. And I think the biggest challenge for many people is to actually walk up to somebody and say, hey, will you be my sponsor? That's because what if they say no? Oh my God. Yeah, that would crush me. So
Yvonne says, I was a high functioning alcoholic and eventually led my mind and body wore me out. 3 years sober. Awesome, Yvonne. Good there. Daisy says, good advice. Just take it day by day. And she also said, congrats to Yvonne and Veronica. All right, Daisy girl, my trigger is my husband. He will say, okay, we're not going to drink at all this week, right? We agree, and then he'll say on Wednesday, let's go to dinner and have some drinks just this one time. Well, one of the things I could tell you is that you are in charge of your sobriety, and he's in charge of what he does. So you can go to dinner with him and say, I'm not going to have drinks. If you find it too tempting, say, hey, man, it's really tempting to have drinks, and I really don't want to. I totally respect if you want to. That's cool, but I can't be around it just yet. And I'm sure what you'll find is he's like, yeah, we'll just go have a steak, and I'll have a Coke or something, and he'd go drink whenever he wants. But remember, you are in charge of your sobriety. No one else is in charge of it. I had spousal triggers as well. My spouse didn't drink, but she was a trigger. So I had to learn to deal with that. I had to learn to hey, you know what? When I get angry or get yelled at or whatever, doesn't mean I have to drink. Just means whatever. Someone likes to yell. That's cool.
And I was that husband that said, no, let's just go. And yeah, it's a tough thing to say no, especially when you're addicted. Mm-hmm. It's a difficult thing to get over. For me, I would probably not go out. If we're not going to drink this week, we're not going to drink this week. That's it. Mm-hmm. But it's a difficult thing to get through.
Yeah. And bring up that when he says just this one time, be like, yeah, you've been saying that the last 50 times we went out. And we could have saved $8 a drink times a lot of drinks. We could have saved a lot of money too.
Yeah.
Dinners could be free next year if we stop drinking. Technically free. Tammy says, I'm an emotional drinker. Any advice? Learn to deal with your emotions without drinking.
Yep.
I find that emotions won't kill me, but drinking probably will. And I have never solved an emotional problem by drinking. I always ended up being a blubbering idiot, calling people that I didn't mean to call, saying things I didn't mean to say. Not angrily. I was just like a whiny little punk about everything, I still am. I just don't drink anymore. So we got to look at that and be like, now I know how to deal with my emotions, and really identify the emotions that you're running from and sit and feel them. Be like, hey, you know what? It's okay to be sad. I know I'm supposed to be manly and have muscles and stuff, but hey, you know what? Right now I'm sad, and that's cool. That's all right. The muscly guy, he's cool. If he doesn't want to cry, that's fine. I can. I could be angry, and that's okay. It's like the Bible verse. Everyone takes it out of context. It says, be angry and sin not. And I think what that means, and I'm not like a Bible guy. I used to be a preacher, not anymore. But I think what that means is be angry, but don't let it go that far. Be angry, but stop it there. Be angry at the feeling. Be sad, but I don't need to flip out. Be angry, but I don't need to yell. I don't need to, get all irate. I can have emotions.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is, as our society, it kind of benefits on suppressing emotions.
Right.
Suppress what you feel. Buy something instead.
We don't have to
You know,
react to everything.
exactly. And just, hey, that's cool. And I think you'll find that as you go through it, like if you're sad and you're like, man, I'm sad, I really want to drink right now, you're going to be sad a lot longer if you drink. If you're just there and you're sad, I mean, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, have a sad session. That's cool. It's okay. So, yeah. All right, Lynn says, I had a major irritation. Oh, I lost it 2 days ago, but I didn't drink. Big win for me. That is a big win.
Yes, it is.
THC, hey gang, good morning to all. 47 days sober today. Awesome, can't stay long. Cool emoticon, by the way. I don't know how to make that one. Doctor appointment, good. Good to see you're sober. Good to see you're going to the doctor. Yvonne, when I was drinking, I was funny and pretty skinny and all those things your brain tells you. Now I've learned to like myself just for today. And you're probably just as funny. You just don't think you're that funny because you're not drinking and laughing at everything. Like if you smoke weed, you're going to think everything's funny. That's just how weed works. If you drink, things will be funny or sad or whatever. It's like accentuating everything, right? It's like everything's going to be long when you're drinking rather than a short thing. Okay, I woke up angry today and I realized I did not get a good night's sleep. That'll do it. Yep. Get a better night tonight and you don't have to drink. After 20 months of sobriety, thanks to Marcus's videos and Terry's videos, I'll add Terry in there because he's a big part too. Back in 2017, I realized alcohol will always be part of me, but I don't have to be part of alcohol anymore. That's awesome. I'm glad to have you watching this long. This stuff does work if you do it. I live in a small town, so AAC. So she doesn't have an AA or something.
Keep going. Go to the next one. It's a bit scary.
It's a bit scary to me. People are judgy here, and I'm a professional in a professional career. Maybe try an online meeting. Hang out with us every Thursday. Watch videos. For me, I don't go to meetings anymore. I went for the 90 and 90. I went off and on for a year, and then I just, now I just go if I, need social interaction. I work from home, so sometimes I'm like, I need to go, see other people. But I would, find what works for you. For me, I listen to tapes all the time. I do not go to bed unless I have earphones and my phone, which is probably not good to have my phone that close to me, but I'm sure drinking's worse. And I listen to a talk. I like Ram Dass, Alan Watts, if you can take him. Now, Alan Watts was a little bit, he talks a lot about psychedelic stuff, which I'm not into. So I just ignore that and listen to the good. In life, you're going to have to find that you get good with bad. You just got to weed out the bad and go for the good. So that would be my advice. And if you can go. People are going to be judgy everywhere, and it doesn't matter. It was difficult for me to go to AA because I have another business where I'm kind of a internet personality. I'm not people don't recognize me except for once or twice a year. But showing up there was kind of weird because, hey, the girls went to a school and some people from the school were there, and it's a Christian school. And if you've ever met judgy people, they like to hang out around Christian events sometimes. Not everyone, but some people are there. So it was difficult, but I went anyway because I was like, you know what? Nothing else is working. The guy said go to 90 meetings, and I need to stay sober, so I'm going to go anyway. Hey, Sally. See you at school tomorrow. That was the extent of it. Okay. I went a few times to AA. This one guy kept hitting on me, so I stopped going. That's something that could happen. I'll bet you get hit on more at the bar, though. Let's call a spade. And, hey, take it as a compliment. Hey, someone hit on me. I'm good looking, apparently. Unfortunately, I don't get hit on in AAs. I don't, Maybe I don't know why, but I would take it as a compliment and just, leave the creepy people to themselves and politely say, hey, you know what, buddy, I'm here to get sober. I'm flattered that you like me, but I'm here to get sober. And it could just be that. Franco says, what do you guys think of the new Heineken beer with 0 alcohol? The taste of beer is a total trigger for me, so it probably wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exactly. Don't know if it actually has zero alcohol. You say it's new, so maybe it does have zero, but all the other non-alcoholic beers have 0.5%. So
Hmm.
they do have a little bit. So I no, thank you.
Yeah. And to each his own. There's some people I know that are totally cool with zero alcohol beer or non alcohol beer. Not for me. I'm like, this beer tastes like a beer and it's real good, but it doesn't have alcohol, which is the reason I drink beer in the first place. So it was kind of like, what's the point? You know, yeah.
So
Let's see.
Nanu says old friends are my trigger. Think it's time for new friends. And for me, I didn't like get rid of my old friends and tell them stop calling me or anything like that. I just stopped doing things that involved alcohol, like going to bars or parties with them until I was sure about what I could do and what I couldn't do. And that I started hanging out with sober people, so I got many new friends, and I still have many of those old friends. Like I said, I just don't go doing the drinking thing. So that did make some of those old friends go away because all I did was drink with them. So it wasn't something that I just went out and did. It's just kind of something that just happened.
All right, we got about 5 minutes left, and I do have to get out of here right on time. So let's take some that are really standing out. ICCU says, I'm tired. I want to stop. I hate alcohol. Every time I stop, I cannot sleep. Also, I have depression. Any device, thank you. God bless anyone trying to stop. Yeah, for me, when I first got sober, it was very difficult to sleep. Sometimes I still have trouble sleeping.
Yeah.
And what I do is I just have trouble sleeping. Like, I don't fight it. I used to fight it and be like, oh, shit, I got to get up. Oh, man, I got so much to do. Oh, man, I got to get to bed. Why am I not going to bed? What the hell's the matter with it? Now I'm just like, whatever. I'll eventually go to sleep when I need to. My body will, unless I'm chemically altered, which I'm not. And so I'm like, hey, I'll go to bed when I can. Right?
Right.
And just don't fight it.
I
Listen
can
to a
lay there and
talk.
rest if I can't sleep. That's okay. I'm still resting my body. It's okay.
Exactly. Listen to a tape. They help. The other night, my back was in a bad way. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't move. I was like rolling around on the ground, trying not to throw up. The pain was so bad. And finally, my wife's like, shut up, you big baby. Like, every time I get hurt, she's like, you're a big baby. I know. Maybe I am. I don't know. And so I put on a tape. I just went to YouTube and I was like, hypnosis for pain. I was out in 10 minutes. Just gone. Like, good sleep. I woke up, didn't even feel like I missed a beat. So that'll help. Also with depression, I like the way you said you have a depression. That's good. You have a depression. You're not depressed. You just have depression sometimes. Sometimes you'll have it. Sometimes you're low. Sometimes you're high. Not high chemically, but high emotionally. Good high. That's just part of life, and that's okay. I find that oftentimes what helps with depression or sadness is moving. Motion. Emotions come from the word motion. Motion. Get in motion. If you change your physiology, you will change the way you feel. I think that's why a lot of alcoholics, when they get in a rut, they help other people. Why? Changes your motivation, changes your motion. You're out there focusing on other people, which is cool. Okay, let's take a couple others here before we jet out. 45 days, Edwin, awesome. Tips to choose a sponsor. Listen to someone you hear talk that you like. Go up to them and say, I really like what you had to say. Do you sponsor people? And try it out. See if it works. But don't go to the guy who's like, I got 20 years, and you're like, hey, that guy's kind of a dick. Right? Don't just go for the guy who's got 20 years or whatever. Go to the guy who speaks your language.
Exactly.
Or girl.
And Kane, you don't need a sponsor to go to AA. You only have to want to quit drinking. Everything else is a suggestion. That's it.
Yeah.
So
even quitting drinking is a suggestion, Okay, let's see. A couple others. Coming up on a year of sobriety. Any advice on how to mark the major milestone and reinforce the journey? Celebrate by having another year of sobriety.
Yep.
That's what I'd do. And if you want to pat yourself on the back, that's cool. Find some people and have a little celebration. Or go get a chip at the AA meeting. For me, at the first year, that was a big deal. It's like, I'm going to go get my chip. I got my year chip, and I was happy about it.
Yeah.
I still have it around here somewhere. Used to be glued to a TV, so it's probably in the garage on the TV.
Okay.
It was my computer monitor. I had them all glued there for a
Right on.
time. Okay. Kane, do we practice mindfulness? I do. I don't know if I do it in like the textbook sense, but I do practice trying to not think,
Right.
which is cool.
Me too.
All right. Daisy says ASMR sleep videos work for me besides alcohol. That's cool. I always laugh when I watch ASMR. I don't know why. I think it's just funny because I always think about like other stuff. But at any rate, I think about like how would you do ASMR in like loud, rowdy places or doing rowdy tasks. I don't know why. My mind just goes to like humor. That's like my default. All right, guys. So I think we're good for today. Stay sober. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. You can do this. Let's do it.
Right on. Good job.
Thanks for watching.
Sobriety, everybody.
Also, check out TalkSober.com if you want to support the channel. Click the big button. Terry's working on a ton of awesome stuff you guys will get as a member, including printouts and things and all kinds of stuff. I got to look at it. I don't even know, but I know it's good. So go check that out. You can click the big button, get that. We'll put an email up there as well and get you guys rocking and rolling. Thanks for hanging out.
Right on. Bye-bye, everybody.